Good morning, everyone, and welcome to SportsbookReview.com. I'm Flash, and this is March into Madness, and I'm with my friends. I can call them friends now. Donnie and Max. Crazy night last night, and we're getting ready for the weekend, Donnie.
No, I'm excited for the weekend. We got a couple topics that will hit on some of the big games over the weekend, but I was at the Temple-UConn game last night, double OT thriller, which I know behind the scenes gave me a little bit late setting up the card for today, but a great night nonetheless. Only thing I'm upset about, Flash, is UNI. What are you doing to me and my people out here when I give out my play of the day? You win. You don't come out lackadaisical. Only thing I'm upset about.
There was quite a few things to be upset about, and your body is a temple, Max.
Yeah, listen, it was, as we were just saying, it was a very exciting game. If you were arbitrage betting that game, you made a good amount of money. You got some free roll situations multiple times in that game. But the reality is, listen, UConn went on the road. They threw their best punch. Temple and Q Rose were able to take care of it and be able to counter, and they were able to knock them out. So, listen, I tip my hat to the Temple Owls. But listen, if we meet up in if we meet in the conference tournament, maybe it'll be a different result. Who knows?
Okay, well, we're marching into madness. Every day brings the brackets closer, Donnie. And Arizona dropped Oregon last night to continue their winning ways.
I thought they were in a good spot last night. I really did. You know, coming in hot, staying at home, needing a victory to try to, punch their ticket to March Madness, get off the bubble, and get into the tournament. But we all know Dana Altman's a great coach for Oregon. And I always enjoy the commentary that you get on the West. The Conference of Champions with Bill Walton. It's the Peyton Pritchett show. Sometimes he's just unstoppable. And even when he is, he doesn't get a lot of help around him. That was the case last night. Arizona State looking better and better for Hurley's boys heading into March Madness.
Yeah, and I think everyone on the show yesterday said about Iowa beating Ohio State, Max. They crushed them.
Yeah, listen, they opened up a big lead early. They went wire to wire. I thought that Ohio State had the opportunity to make a good run in the fourth or fifth minute of the second half and just wasn't able to get it within 10, lower than 10, excuse me. Iowa is bulletproof at home. Listen, you get the performances that you need from your backcourt without C.J. Frederick in the lineup, and I think that they were able to hold stout. I think that when you go up against a offensive team that is not efficient in Ohio State, well, this is what happens. You have some pretty poor performances on the road, so shouldn't be surprised by this by Ohio State.
Donnie, I've been quite shocked by the lackadaisical lack of motivation from some sides. Home court seems to be a massive advantage, and Hampton smashing Gardner Webb by 10.
Yeah, we saw it yesterday. I mean, on the show, I went over when we broke down the game. It wasn't so much even if you like the game side itself. It was the amount of points that Hampton has the ability to score at home. They did it again yesterday. Their team total was only lined at 74.5. They end up with 87 points. Myself, feeding into Gardner Webb here. I didn't take Gardner Webb as a side, but I did take the team total over with Gardner Webb, which was 76.5 and just scrapes over. It was one of those games watching down the stretch, like, why didn't I just take my own medicine? I called it yesterday. Hampton scores at home. 74.5 seems like a good number to go with, and I flipped it over to the other side and made it by a half of a point. But Hampton at home, that's something to look into. And also, since we're here with SportsbookReview.com, you can always click that / link, SportsbookReview.com /picks. Check out everything, because the important thing is those are college basketball extra games that line up. Find the book that has those team totals on extra games. Make yourself some money. Always be on the lookout. Hampton's one of those teams at home. Team totals always in play, Flash.
Wow, that is analysis paralysis, because you picked every single piece of meat off that bone yesterday, come up with 74.5, and they crushed it again at 87. Everyone in the chat, everyone was happy to go with the Hampton team total over. Max, Liberty wins, but UNF covers the 9.5. Mute.
The nose whistle.
They were looking a little bleak in the last couple minutes of the game, but it was surprisingly enough, North Florida was able to make a couple threes from the perimeter. They're able to make some defensive plays and get some short clock advantages. And you know what? Listen, if Liberty's going to miss free throws, that is going to cost them. That's going to cost their backers, and it did last night. They missed free throws down the stretch where they could have put this game out of reach and covered for their bettors, and they spanked the dog in a very naughty way.
Well, talking of spanking dogs in a very naughty way, Michigan State against Nebraska. Michigan State had to give up double digits and absolutely crushed them. 86, 65, 21 points. That's almost a half of basketball, Donnie.
Yep, and again, we'll invoke the Wu-Tang Clan. As we said yesterday during the song, It's Yours. Put your lights out and leave your brain inside a fog. You knew the team total was going over for Michigan State when you took a look, Flash. It was 83.5, and they end up there with 86 points. Michigan State was a runaway in this game, and they should have been. Every single angle went Michigan State's way. All you had to do was worry about, as Max said, there was one player on their team that was worried about having a baby. The baby came, and they blew it out in celebrations. Maybe flashed cigars all around the locker room in celebration on that one, but Michigan State was pretty easy for that.
That's a great link that you've given me there, Donnie, with cigars out, feet up. When you're 50 to 23 up with 11 minutes to go, like Murray State were, and end up losing 63-60, Max, this wouldn't be March into Madness if we didn't have a little moan about a massive lead getting eroded and you come away with an L.
That was absolutely devastating last night to see Murray State cough up that lead to a seasoned Eastern Illinois team. But the reality was they could have forced it to overtime, and they could not stop. They could not stop the shot. And I was completely dumbfounded by the coaching decision in that game. I was completely dumbfounded that there wasn't a change of philosophy in defensive pressure, trying to get back in the backcourt, pack the fucking paint, and just protect the lead. You know, I can't even go into it anymore. I'm absolutely disgusted just thinking about it once again.
Good. I quite like it when you're disgusted. It channels your mind because you want worms and you want that cash in your pocket. Listen, we know we've got 18 games to go through, but we cannot do the people in the chat the disservice by not mentioning Baylor versus Kansas tomorrow, Max. Which way do you think it goes? I quite like the home side.
Yeah, no, I'm going with Baylor once again.
Thanks
I think
for that
with Tristan Clark coming into the lineup, being able to be more of a contributor, you have someone else to go against Azubuike in the middle. I think that Freddie Gillespie against Azubuike is going to be a great matchup, but I think that the best defensive matchup for Baylor is to put Tristan Clark on him. He's quick enough. He's able to slide his feet. He has good footwork. This is a guy that I think is going to be a difference maker for Baylor going into March, and I think that he shows his worth tomorrow against Kansas at noon.
Donnie, are you going to go Baylor or are you going to go Kansas? I really like Kansas.
No, I like the home side in this one as well. Look, we just saw Kansas go on the road and go into West Virginia and handle their business, so there's no reason to believe they can't go into Baylor and do that. But you're talking about a team that's not used to losing and already went in the Fog Allen and took care of business. I'm going to go with the home side there with Baylor. One quick point on that Murray State game, getting out of the Temple game. I put a video out, Flash, that said I liked Murray State's team total. I believe it was over 73 is what it closed at. So I see the 50 points when I get out, almost exactly the same time I saw the score update. I'm going, EIU did it again to me. They're so bad in this game that they can't score to force Murray State to actually get over their team total. And I'm saying, why didn't I just go with the side of Murray State instead of messing around with the team total? I'm actually glad Murray State lost that game, Flash, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I hear you because I often do that myself when I maybe have a soccer bet and they get beat and I'm thinking, you don't deserve to win, I don't deserve to win, and we beat up on ourselves. But Murray State, 11 minutes to go, were outscored 37-13. I just don't understand how that's even possible. But Baylor, Kansas, that's one it's a must watch. We're all going to be interested in it. But so's BYU against the Zags. Donnie.
Yes, okay, this is going to be a good one. And last night, I typed up the script for us today, went to bed before I even saw the score of the Gonzaga game, woke up like, hey, look at this. Gonzaga won easy. I was right. I knew they would win all along, only to check the score that they needed a massive second half to come back and actually win that game. You would never know it by the final score, but being down, I believe, double digits at the half. This is going to be good. And if we look at both of these two games that we're going to preview for tomorrow, they're exciting matchups. And I got to tell you, I'm going to lean on both home teams in these environments for the simple fact is, I don't think I can go any worse than 500. I think there's a good shot that BYU can rise up to the challenge and go after Gonzaga. It's just hard, Flash, to get it out of your head and say, wait a second, this line is going to be light. What are we looking at, maybe 2.5 or 3 points? Just take Gonzaga to win this game. What are you, crazy, Donnie? I'm going to lean on both home teams here to get victories. And if I come up short, Flash, going for the moon, I'm still going to be with the Stars.
Yeah, we like that. Shoot for the moon. And if you're the Stars, we're still happy with that. You wouldn't mind hitting a few Stars at the moment, Max. Are you BYU or are you Gonzaga?
Oh, no, I'm going with Gonzaga. They definitely had a out-of-character performance last night for San Francisco, putting up only 22 points in the first half. But when that second half started, Mark Few had his team ready to go. I don't think that San Francisco scored more than 2 points for 9 minutes and 47 seconds of the second half. They went on a 24-2 run. They are going to flex their muscle early and often versus BYU, and BYU is going to regret not showing me last night that they can put away a team and not let a team get back into it. Let's not forget, BYU had a comfortable lead. Santa Clara came back. Santa Clara had the lead for a while, and then BYU had to put together late. If you bring that kind of game against Gonzaga, even at home, losing.
Okay, well, I'm going to stay with you, Max, because we're going to kick straight on. Remember, we've got 18 games to go through, not the 23 or 24 of the midweek, but a massive weekend's card ahead of us as well. By the way, put the thumbs up if you'd be so kind. Subscribe so we can let you know whenever there's any video content, especially if it's me or Max or Donnie on your screen. We're going to go VCU -1.5 at St. Louis, Max.
Yeah, this is a spot where I know a lot of people are going to be on VCU, but I got to go with the home dog here. I know that they're coming off a very brutal performance coming against UMass on the road, but that's on the road. This is a team with Javonte Perkins, I think, is a difference maker. Jordan Goodwin, a consistent guy that gets on the boards, defends, plays both ways on the court, and can give you 20 points in a game. He's your leader. When I look at VCU, I don't trust him on the road. I don't trust Marcus Evans is going to be 100% and right back into him and Durante Jenkins running the offense for this team. And in the front court, I'm worried about foul trouble. I'm worried about Hassan French being able to really pack the paint, shift his feet, and stop a lot of easy penetration that VCU is going to be looking for. St. Louis in a rebound spot, 100% for me.
Official?
Yeah.
Official, the first game. We absolutely love that, Donnie. Donnie, we're getting off to a flyer. We've got an official in game one.
Yeah, you know what's interesting here, looking at this game with St. Louis, I've bet St. Louis quite a few times this year, also going up against VCU. This isn't one of your better VCU teams, but the thing I take a look at with St. Louis is, yes, they're at home. They should have the advantage. VCU always gets an extra bump at the Siegel Center, but I have a problem with the way St. Louis is actually playing this year, specifically in Atlantic 10 play. When you look at the wins they've had, because you say, all right, well, they're 7-6, they lost to UMass, no big deal. But look, they beat Richmond on January 11th, roughly a month and a half ago. They lost to Dayton and Davidson when you level up in competition, right? And then they go on a 3-game win streak. They beat Fordham, which us three can beat Fordham. They beat LaSalle, same thing, and they beat St. Joseph's. 3 horrendous teams. So say, all right, nice 3-game win streak. Then they go and level up again, Duquesne, Dayton, drop both of those games. And oh yeah, they beat LaSalle again. And then they go on the road and lose to Massachusetts. VCU coming in, obviously not that hot, because you take a look, they've actually lost 4 or 5 games. Rhode Island, the one game that you really get a little bit perturbed with was that game against George Mason. But losing to Richmond, losing to Dayton, okay. I just think St. Louis is going to have a little bit more trouble. You can fire 3-pointers against St. Louis's defense. It's only a matter of VCU is going to be hitting those shots. I don't even mind, the injury information, the Marcus Evans game-time decision. If you're a game-time decision, how effective can you actually be? If he plays or doesn't play, I don't think it matters. I'm going to go against Max in this game. I'm going to go VCU because I just don't trust it. Against a decent basketball team, St. Louis just doesn't win these games.
Max, can you just confirm whether you're doing the plus 1.5, maybe plus 2 in a spot or the money line?
Yeah, no, I'm taking the +2.
Okay, so Troy in the chat, no worries. If ever you don't hear Donnie or Max or got any questions, then just ask us in the chat. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm not too happy about this game, Donnie. I'm going to come to you. Canisius versus Quinnipiac. Okay, +2 for the home side. Oh, sorry, the visitors, the road dog, getting 2. What do we think?
By the way, I'm impressed, Flash. Like, you came right out and just drilled Canisius and Quinnipiac this early in the morning on a Friday. This show is off to a hot start as it is already. If we take a look, now I have some bad
Donnie, let me
memories
stop you.
About Canisius. Like
Donnie,
that?
let me stop you.
For you, Flash?
Did I? Because you're telling me, so that's great, because I didn't even know.
Nailed it right there. But Canisius, I actually got a bad taste in my mouth the last time Canisius and Quinnipiac played because Quinnipiac absolutely bombed them from the three-point line. But then jumping back and taking some shots going against Quinnipiac about a week ago against St. Peter's, which they got hammered, I actually thought Quinnipiac was in a decent spot on Sunday afternoon against Ryder, where I thought they would be able to hit their three-pointers. I thought they would have, their offensive running smooth. They did a lot of things that you could hurt Ryder against, and they came up absolutely small again. So now we go back. Quinnipiac's at home. Quinnipiac not coming into this game hot. When you look at Canisius, what have they lost? 6 of 7 games with their only win at home to a terrible Marist team by 1. I got to tell you, as much as it pains me to say, I'm going with Kelly. I'm going with Marfo. I'm going with the boys Rigoni. Quinnipiac should win this game. And if they don't win this game, Jesus, Quinnipiac, just drop down to Division 2.
Happy to give up the 2 at home. There seems to be a lot of home teams winning. Max, home or away?
Neither for the show officially. I'm more looking towards the total in this spot. The reality is this is a pretty high total for the way that these offenses are functioning right now. When you're looking at Quinnipiac and you're looking at Canisius, you're seeing Quinnipiac team that's getting between 22 and 29 points per game in first halves. We're seeing Canisius struggle to get to 35 in first halves. I think that a slow start is going to heavily aid an under ticket, and I think that's what we're going to get here. I think that there's definitely value on taking the first half under. That's where you're going to get probably the most you're going to get the most real perspective on the total, because there's nothing that can really take you off that road. There's no overtime. There's no fouling situations that you're going to see in second halves. So I would definitely recommend taking the first half under. But for the show, I'll definitely take the under 147 or 147 and a half to make official. Let me just double check what is available. Yeah, there's a 147 and a half at Pinnacle that I will make official for the show.
Nice one, Max. And next time we do a game, which will be Niagara at Fairfield, can you take your hat off and show everyone what's been going on now your Filipino hairdresser has returned? Okay, Donnie, I'm going to come to you. Niagara, +4 at Fairfield.
Yeah, this is one of those bottom feeder games, but hey, it's the Metro Atlantic Conference. It's what gets us up and excited. If we take a look at both of those teams, this isn't a league that plays with a heck of a lot of tempo. And if you're going to watch Niagara, 9th in the conference at taking into the shot clock, as well as Fairfield, there's 11 teams, as we said, Flash. They're 11th in the conference. And also, yes, Niagara brings in one of the worst efficient defenses in conference play, but Fairfield counters them, Flash, with the absolute worst efficient offense that you're going to have. If you look at Fairfield offense, what do they actually do well? They turn it over just about more than anybody in conference, Flash. How about from the three-point line? Dead last at 27%. How about from inside? They probably drive to the paint. They do pretty well inside the arc. Dead last in conference at 41%. So when you take a look at a really bad offense going up against a really bad defense, I don't really know if they can expose a really bad defense, because if you can't make shots, what does it even matter if anybody – you can put 5 trash cans out there that if they can't shoot over them and make buckets, it doesn't matter. The only way I can look in this game is Niagara does one thing well. They don't turn the basketball over. And if you want to say, yes, they shoot the three-point at a decent clip at 39%, that can also add up. I lean Niagara in this game, but these are two really bad basketball teams, and there's much better things on the card for us here. But I do lean Niagara in this one just because they won't turn the basketball over.
Max, in England, we'd say you've got to have big Niagaras to back Niagara.
Flash, I have no problem backing Niagara in this spot. I think that when you look at Fairfield, this is a team that is going to really struggle offensively, just like Donnie said. Look at Taj Benning going 2 for 12. Like, come on, Taj. You can't take it inside. You're getting offensive rebounds and you can't get putbacks. That pisses me off. Jesus Cruz, all you want to do is shoot threes. Well, take it inside and freaking hit a jump shot inside the arc. Be a fucking man. Like, Fairfield team they frustrate me. I watch a lot of their games on ESPN3. So, in this spot, my numbers liked Niagara at +4. At 3.5, I still like it. I'm not going to make an official play on it, though, for the show. I will say that the first half money line has more interest to me. I think that Niagara definitely comes out and throws a punch. And when you have a team that you can't trust offensively, well, you know what the situation is. You take that dog on the first half. So, +126 or +130, depending on what book you can get. I would say Niagara money line first half will be an official play.
Okay, we like that. First half, money line for Niagara going into Fairfield. I'm going to stay with you now, Max, and it's going to be Ryder.
Hold on, Flash, and one more thing. Sorry, bud.
No worries.
Just I'm looking at this total. I'm watching it go up. When it stops moving up, I'm going to take the under.
Okay.
I think that this game struggles to get to 120.
Okay. So what's the total on at the moment?
It's 126.5, but it went up from 124.
Okay, and what sort of number will be your tipping point?
I'll take it as soon as it stops moving, because as soon as I see 45 minutes to an hour of the number staying at what it is at, that's when I'm like, okay, fine. I think that the movement has stopped. I'll make a play on it now. So
at 126.5, and you think they'll struggle at 120. You think you've already got a 5, maybe 6 point, and it's only going to go in your direction, Max. So keep your beady little mincers on that one. I'm going to stay with you, Max. Ryder getting 1.5, going into Iona.
Yeah, this is a spot where I look at the under once again. I know that's the theme of my capping on this show, but this is a spot where I think that Iona, even though having Isaiah Washington running the point, is not going to really have the fluidity that we're used to seeing from these teams. I think that the game against Siena was a very good indicator of what we're going to get tonight against Ryder, but Ryder's a much better defensive team. They're going to be able to pressure you. They pressure ball handlers better. They have better transition off of turnovers. I think that with Tyree Marshall and Frederick Scott, you have good on glass guys that can get you second chance opportunities. And when Ryder gets second chance opportunities, they're not necessarily going to go right up to the bucket. They sometimes, most often, pull it out, reset the offense, and then run a play. So when I see teams that run a lot of plays and you see the coach and the point guard communicating often, well, that really moves me towards the under. And when we look at the over-under margins for Ryder games recently, we're seeing a heavy pattern of that. So I'm going to keep on biting the bait, and hopefully I don't get eaten for dinner.
And what's the number? You said under? What's the number?
148, yeah.
148?
Yeah.
It's a big number as well. Happy to go under that, Donnie. 148, you don't see it going over 150?
I think it's actually going to be close in this game because you're going to get some good fluidity out of both of these teams, especially on offense. If we take a look at, even getting in the tempo, second in conference for Ryder, and then you take a look at Iona, third in using the shot clock. Ryder typically the fastest team in conference. But I do like the fact that if we take a look at a side here with Iona, the one thing that you noticed on Sunday, which is really the theme of Ryder throughout the season, they're going to let you shoot the three-point shot. Whether or not you make it is going to be up to you. Sitting at home in the Heinz Center, I think Iona is going to be able to knock those shots down. If we take a look at coming into conference play for Iona, number 2 in the conference, Flash, 43% of their offensive shots come from three-point range. And if we flip it over with 11 teams in the Metro Atlantic for Ryder, they are dead last in letting you shoot the three-point shot. So if Iona wants those threes, which they do like to take, they should be open and available. The one thing that it gets me a little bit and say, you know what, I don't want to get over my skis on what's going to take place in this game, is that Ryder is very athletic. Ryder is going to get you into foul trouble, and you're not looking at a ton of depth for Iona. So already down to Sante Gist, if they can't afford to lose one of their other players in the lineup, specifically somebody like an E.J. Crawford or a Taiwan Agee, That could be damaging here. But again, I like to lean towards the home team in a lot of these situations, especially when the spread is this low. Iona comes with a nice, furious comeback. Their losing streak was broken against Siena. Siena's a really good team, hasn't lost at home, and Iona went to the bell. Sometimes you get Ryder, some of those enigmatic games where they're a little bit off. I think Iona has a pretty good performance tonight. I like Iona in this game. And I do lean a little bit towards the over because I think if shots go down, I think the pace will be there in this ballgame. But I like Iona as a side just a little bit more here, Flash.
Okay, Iona -1.5, and we're going under 148. I've listened to both stories. I've given it one of them, and we're sentencing the under 148. Love these games that are so tight, Donnie. St. Peter's getting 2 going into Manhattan.
Winners of 7 of it. Look, this is not your grandfather's St. Peter's, or we should say this isn't your older brother's St. Peter's of a couple years ago where they weren't very good. This team can actually score. This team can play defense. This team can beat you in a multitude of ways. And the team actually can win on the road and as well as home. But this is going to be one of those where I talk about a lot on this show, Flash. Styles make fights. You're looking at the 2 roughest, toughest teams in Metro Atlantic play going at each other. And don't be surprised if this game stays under the total because both of these teams are going to want to control tempo. You have 2 electric guys down low that can really get after. Because when you look at Manhattan, Paulie Polycap, one of the best names, by the way, in college basketball altogether, but Warren Williams, they can go head-to-head. But there's a young kid from my neck of the woods that has played really well as a freshman for St. Peter's, and that's Aaron Estrada. And this team is deep for St. Peter's. St. Peter's plays really well at home, and they used to be under the old adage like, oh, St. Peter's getting 2 or 3 points at home. They play really well as a dog. I don't want them as a favorite. I think St. Peter's can step out of their element, go across the river to Draddy in the 6th borough, as they call it, and take down and get this victory. I like everything I've seen out of St. Peter's this year. They are a legitimate team that can go in and win the Metro Atlantic once it heads to Atlantic City. I like St. Peter's in this spot here, and I'm usually one of the guys waving the flag for Manhattan.
Max, Donnie likes the road woofer.
Yeah, no, I'm going with Donnie on this. I like St. Peter's also. Estrada had an eye-opening performance last game. I think that he continues to get those minutes and get those touches. The reality is, I just don't trust Tyler Reynolds, Samir Stewart, and Takai Green to really do. To really score the basketball consistently, even at home. I think that when you look at St. Peter's, they rebound the ball fantastically. They have a ton of depth. They throw a bunch of different looks at you, and they throw different looks at you until they find a look that works. I love a team that plays like that. I love a team that plays balance, and for my estimations, they do a good job of doing that. I think that Manhattan is just going to have problems tonight matching up, and with their inefficiency from the three-point line, I just don't trust them even on their home floor.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm going to come back to you. But we like the road Wolfski, especially when it's getting points. This one is having to give up points. It's Monmouth -3.5 going into Marist. I'm going to start with you, Max.
Yeah, this is a simple spot for me. Marist is a home dog. I'm looking at the home dog +3.5. This is a spot where I think Marist is just being disrespected. This Monmouth team, I like them. I think that they're very talented. I think that they can make a run in the tournament. I think that when you look at this Monmouth team, though, are they going to be able to really get their tempo? And is Marist going to be able to score the basketball? And if you ask me, the question is yes tonight. I look at Marist as a home dog. I look at Marist as a potential spot that you can get on a team total over with at a low number. And I think that when I'm talking about official plays, I'm going to make an official play on this game, and I'm going to take the over 136.
Over 136 is the official play. And you also like Marist getting the 3.5. Johnny, he's going over. He wants points. 136 seems a middle of the road number.
I think Max is right on this point when you take a look at Marist, because also keep in mind Monmouth now in their 3rd straight road game here in Metro Atlantic play. But when you take a look at what Marist does well in offense, not that much of an efficient offense, but the one thing they do is really shoot the three-pointer. Second in conference here, Flash, at 38% on the season, shooting right around 40% of their total shots from three-point range. And if we take a look at Monmouth's defense, Flash, dead last in conference play at defending the three-point line at 38%. They should look. if you're lining up threes and they're going down at your rate that you think they're going to go down at around 38 or 39%, and the other team is giving up the same exact number, we should be led to expect it's going to come in somewhere around that number. And if it does, that's going to be a big boon for Marist in this game. But also keep in mind, when you're taking a look at, all right, if our three-pointers aren't going down, do we like to score from inside the arc? They're 10th in the conference at scoring inside the arc. And if we take a look at Monmouth on defense, they are 10th inside the arc at giving up points. So styles make fights. They don't defend the three all that well. That's what Marist wants to do. And also, if they do want to go down low, it's not so much we say, boy, we expect to get a lot of points from inside the arc. That's not going to be the case. Also, Monmouth does foul. This is a sneaky play. I like Marist here at home. It's a good pick by Max. Yeah,
and in the chat, Cash says Marist are 4-1 in their last 5 games. So get on the home Woofski. Now, I love this. I've been looking forward to saying this all morning. Green Bay going to Detroit. They're -1. They're +1. They're pick'em. Everything you want. Shop around, because I tell you, this is one crazy market, Donnie, where they're favourites. They're a dog and they're a pick'em.
Yeah, I might lean on Green Bay in this instance. When you're taking a look at a team that's efficient, they are 4th in the conference. When you take a look at a team that likes to shoot the three-point shot, which they do, 3rd overall in the conference at 36%. And also taking a look at one of the things that I like in both of these teams, actually, this is interesting because this plays into a total for me as well. One team shoots, Flash, 78% from the line. How about the other team? 79% from the line. Making the most out of your out of your free throws certainly goes a long way. As you saw last night in the UConn game, they weren't able to pull it out. But in order to get a team total, boy, it's nice when you shoot over 90% from the free throw line at volume. That could be the case now. You're also taking a look at a Green Bay team that doesn't turn the basketball over. I lean towards Green Bay in this game as a side, but also taking a look, because obviously Green Bay does play with tempo. I like the over here a little bit as well.
What number have you got on the over, Donnie?
I'm going to bring that up right now as Max goes.
Okay, Max, Green Bay, pick'em, +1 or -1 going into Detroit.
Yeah, as far as the side, I do agree with Donnie. I think that when you look at Jalen McLeod and Cam Hankerson, they've done a fantastic job of running this offense. And we've had the emergence of Amari Davis come in. And what has he done? Put up multiple 20-game performances. He is a shot maker, and he's not afraid to go and take that mid-range jumper. I think I respect that in college basketball when you see a guy that can hit very efficiently from the field, and he does it within the arc. I think that when you look at this Detroit Mercy team, you really have to do a good job for Green Bay, specifically Manny Patterson and Cody Schwartz, of stopping Chris Brandon from dominating the boards. If you can't get any second chance opportunities, you don't really get any resets, and then you can't take it to the rim like Green Bay is able to with the depth and athleticism they have in the backcourt. As far as the total, I'm looking the other way, Donnie. I don't have this game going past 160. I bet this game on the overnight under 163.5. Watch this line go all the way up to 167 on one of my books, and I'm going to keep on hitting the unders, even if I get burnt. I just think that Detroit at home, this is not a team that you can really trust to score 35 points and a half. I would be surprised if they get to 30 in the first half. And if they only get to 30, I think that total is going to be a little harder to hit, especially if we're talking about like 90 plus points in the second half. So I don't know if it really made sense what I just said, but I'm taking the under, and I'm already on it.
Yeah, it was clear as mud. Don't even worry about it, Max. No problem at all. We've got one of you on over 166 and the other one's under 163.5. But obviously, if it's still at 166, you can go in again, Max. Newt Worker says, have we done Buffalo versus Kent State? You can see, here it comes. Buffalo, +3.5. You can get +4 in a spot. Going into Kent State. Max?
Yeah, this is a simple spot for me. It is Buffalo. I just love the depth that this team has in the backcourt. With Antoine Johnson entering the starting lineup, you really have some pizzazz. You really have some emotion. These guys really get up for each other. And my favorite player on this team, Ronald Segou, is going to come off the bench, and he's going to have a game tonight. This is a revenge spot, losing by 4 at home versus Kent State. I think that Buffalo does a good job of getting to the line, does a good job of getting on the offensive glass, and I think that when you look at Kent State, yes, Antonio Williams has not been as effective as we thought when he took over for the two Jalen's. But I think that the real issue is, what do you do with Troy Simons, and how do you stop him from hoisting and making threes? Buffalo has the depth, length, and athleticism to do so. I think that they get revenge. I think that they're a 4-point cover. I think that they win outright, and I think that this game stays under. The game staying under is going to be my official play, under 150.5. Plain and simply, Buffalo has been playing great defense. Buffalo has been at times moving with faster pace, but then being able to slow it down. And Kent State's done the same thing. I've seen patterns from watching these games on CBS Sports Network. So I'm looking at the under 150.5 as an official play, and I like Buffalo all the way.
So it's Buffalo +4, Buffalo money line, and the game to go under 150.5. You've got 3 selections there, Donnie. Which one you ticking?
Yeah, I like where Max is going in this game, and I always like to look to try to find some value in road teams in the first half, because you look at the game that's line Buffalo getting 4 points, so you're probably figuring, I'm just taking a look at some of the odds market out here on the first half between, looks like right around +2 is what you get from Buffalo. I'm always under the old adage, look, if Buffalo's not covering it the half, being a road dog, they're probably not going to be able to close it out. Last couple minutes, free throws can make the difference, and you can see that +4 turn into a loser if they lose by 5 or 6 points. So I think Buffalo's going to be game in this. I also think Buffalo's going to be in the first half. I'd be more than happy to take the bucket in the first half at Buffalo +2, figuring if they're up at the half, there's probably a really good shot that they're going to win. But if they're down at the half, I don't know if they're going to be able to overcome that and win on the road. There's a lot of things Buffalo does well, but also you have one of those games where Eastern Michigan, which I know we're not going to get a chance to talk about today, just really stifling opponents like they did versus Kent State. Maybe they have a little bit of a hangover trying to transition back from that ridiculous zone that they saw from Eastern Michigan to a real athletic front chasing you off the 3-point line for Buffalo. I think Buffalo hangs around the first half. I think Buffalo's up at the half. I'd be happy to take Buffalo +2 in the first half and then see what happens in the second half. But I think Buffalo first half for me is a better play than the full game here. I'll take the +2 in the first half.
Well, so we have 4 selections there, 1 from Donnie, 3 from Max. Just get on Buffalo, cover every permutation, and we should be eating worms and cashing and having a great weekend. Milwaukee getting 4 going into Oakland, Donnie.
Yeah, taking a look at this game, 2 teams that, look, match up really well. Offensively, Oakland's about 5th in the conference in efficiency. Milwaukee's defense is 4th. But when we take a look at offense, Milwaukee on offense, 9th in the conference. Oakland, 8th in the conference. You want to shoot 3-point shots if you're Milwaukee, but they only shoot them, Flash, at 31% in conference play. You want to be able to abuse Oakland from the 3-point line, because they will let you shoot it. 10 teams in conference play, Flash, they let you shoot more 3-pointers than any team in conference at about a volume of around 42%. Both of these teams here, there's a disparity. Milwaukee's offense, or I should say Milwaukee from the free throw line, shoots 75% as a team. When you flip that over, under 70% for Oakland. I'm going to lean on Milwaukee with nothing official in this game here, Flash.
Okay, nothing official. What about you, Max? And what is under that your little yellow hat you've got on?
I'm going to ignore that last part, but I'm just going to go on to say that what have we seen from Oakland? Now they have someone in the backcourt who's reliable, who can score the basketball consistently. His name's Rashad Williams. Thought that he was lost for eligibility issues for the whole season, but Coach Greg Campion, whatever the AD's name was, managed to finagle him back into the lineup, and he's paid dividends. I think that with this Oakland team, the question was, how are they going to score from the backcourt? We knew that Xavier Hill-Mays and Brad Becton would have size advantages in most games that they would play within the Horizon League schedule. And now I think that it's time to really take note of Oakland. I think in this particular matchup with Deshaun Lucas and Darius Roy, this is a spot where I have trouble getting on Oakland, even at home, as a 2-bucket favorite. But the spot that I'm more interested in, and I think is going to be interesting, is how Milwaukee does on the offensive glass. This is an Oakland team that, although they have size, they are susceptible to having guys get out of box outs and get on the offensive glass. I think that if Milwaukee's able to do that and give themselves the extra possessions, they do have good enough ball distribution at like 1.1 assist to turnover ratio as a team, and they don't turn the ball over as much as you would with a team that's so dominant and very easy to project what they're going to do on offense. This is a spot where I definitely want to look at Milwaukee, but I like the over a lot more.
Okay, and what is your number on the over then, Max?
139 or 139 and a half. Any higher, and then I'm a little less sure-footed.
Okay, well, anything over 140, and it's a winner. Now, if ever we had a team that was on the naughty step over the last 5-6 shows, it's Merrimack. And Sacred Heart getting 2 going into Merrimack. Do we go to the well again, Max?
Yeah, this is a real hard spot for me to make an official play because you know what Merrimack's going to do. They're going to have a very good zone. They have very good ball pressure from their guards with Javarius Hayes. We already know how great he is at forcing steals. But when I look at Sacred Heart, this is a team that I thought that would have a lot more trouble without Cameron Parker, and Aaron Clark has been able to step in. He's been able to stay on the floor even when he picks up an early foul or two, and that's impressive to see from underclassmen. I think that when you see what he can do offensively, which is give you double-digit points, he can distribute the ball, he can play defense, and he makes his free throws. It really doesn't take away a lot from the Sacred Heart offense as you would have thought when the injury happened. They're going to feed EJ Ananowski, sorry, I butchered his name, again. They're going to feed him the basketball. That's what the offense now is predicated over. Kareem Ozier is going to get his three-point shot opportunities. I think that Sacred Heart's going to be able to go into Merrimack and beat them again. Beat them this time. The area that I'm more concerned with is the total. We know that Sacred Heart has slowed down. We know that Merrimack plays unders pretty much every game, regardless of what the bookmakers put the number at. That's a spot that I'm going to really attack, and that's a spot that I want to make official for the show. I'm going to take that under 129. And I think that this game is definitely a lot more frustrating and lack of scoring than we're anticipating.
Yeah, cheers, Max. Donnie, every man his dog had Merrimack in the last game, and they all came up sucking their thumb. Can we trust them at home?
Yeah, most people looking at maybe doubling down and getting their money back with Merrimack, but I do think Sacred Heart's going to be a live dog in this game. But I also think Max is on to something a little bit better. Take a look at the total. We always preach and say, you know what, there's a lot of books out there. Get the best line you can. Offshore, if you're able to get Chris, 128.5. If you're in New Jersey, which I am, DraftKings shows a 129.5. And as we know, those half points and those points coming down the stretch do pay dividends if you can steal the best number. When we take a look at Merrimack, number 1 in effective defense in the conference, they're going to chase you off the three-point line. But the one thing that I do like the most in this game, if you're looking at back Merrimack, is they're going to force turnovers. Number 1 in the conference at doing so, but also when you take a look at Sacred Heart, 9th out of 11 teams in conference at turning the basketball over. I still think Sacred Heart's going to win this basketball game, but if you're taking Merrimack, there are some things that make sense, but even more sense as we talk here, Max is on point here. Both of these teams play really good defense. All you need is one of those stretches, 2 to 3 minutes where nobody scores. You're going to be able to knock that down. 128, 128.5, 129, 129.5. I think it stays under the total in this one here, Flash.
Okay, so both boys like the under 129 Sacred Heart Merrimack. You can't go back to the well. I've decided, leave it alone. Just go with the total, go under 129. And I'm sure we can have a better chance than being with the home side. Mount St Mary's are getting 7 going into Robert Morris, Donnie.
Yeah, by the way, that Sacred Heart Merrimack game, and obviously in a college extra game, keep in mind, that's a 5 o'clock. I mean, look, get your weekend started right. If you're going to be gambling on games, you should be doing it at happy hour on a Friday. That game is it, so enjoy if you're able to watch it on TV. But getting back to Mount St. Mary's and Robert Morris, Flash, a lot of people here in the United States might get that confused with Philip Morris if you do smoke cigarettes, but this team's a pretty good team, and as we match up, number 2 in the conference overall on defensive efficiency, they chase you off the three-point line, they defend it well, they also don't foul. If we take a look at what Mount St. Mary's does well on offense, they don't turn the basketball over. That's the best thing you can say about their offense. I don't trust Mount St. Mary's. I think Robert Morris overall is the better team, and also when we take a look at shooting three-point shots, 37% from three-point range, RMU, they are at home in this game. I'm going to take Robert Morris here to win this game and cover.
Cover the 7. That's a brave old shout. Max, can you cover the TD?
Yeah, I think that Robert Morris is the play here. I think that when you look at Robert Morris, this is a team that will make threes. They will shoot threes. They have capable front court players that can go down low. And Mount St. Mary, I just don't like the size that they have in the front court. I try and show respect to Malik Jefferson because he would literally stomp me, but it's just really hard to respect some of the inefficiency from this Mount St. Mary's backcourt. I think that they are going to struggle to get three-point shot attempts off against Robert Morris. Robert Morris has been very leaky from the three-point line, allowing teams to shoot 40%. I think we're going to see a reversal of that tonight. And when I look at Robert Morris, my numbers like this team up to a 10-point favorite at home. They're a good team. They're a good team to back at this number ATS-wise. We've seen them being able to cover these kinds of spreads. And I think coming off situationally, looking at what they've done recently, coming off specifically that FDU loss, which was very heartbreaking, I think going up against St. Francis and getting a little whoop-ass from them, it's time for them to come back home and do the whoop-assing. So this is a team that they've already beat by 17. I think that they end up doing it again, and it's going to go over. So that 126.5 or 127, I think it goes over 133. So jump on the over, and I'll join Donnie on Robert Morris -7 full game.
Okay, over 133, and that was just for nasty Nate.
Flash.
What?
Over 127, but I see the game going over 133.
Wow, 6 points. 6 points in your favour. Here's another game, just like Buffalo. We got Bryant at -1, at +1, and at Pickham as they go into St. Francis, Max.
Yeah, Bryant's the type of team that when they get chicken tenders, they put frickin' honey mustard on it instead of just actual honey. So I'm not really pleased with them. They were the ones that burnt us on that Merrimack game. The reality is, if St. Francis has any ability to go inside on Bryant, they're going to be able to score. I think being at home is a significant advantage for St. Francis. But in this spot at this time, I just cannot back them. I have to go with Bryant. I have to take the team with the depth in the backcourt with guys like Benson Lynn and Adam Grant and Ikena Ndugba. And I have to say that, listen, this is a team that definitely has not rewarded you for the most part if you backed them on the road early on in the season. But I think that they're going to take care of business tonight. I think that they go into St. Francis, Brooklyn, and win by 5 points.
5 points, that's decent, because you can get a pick 'em and you can even get them with +1, Donnie. Which one of the lines do you like?
I actually like the under in this game. Taking a look at Bryant's offense, 10th in efficiency. Looking at St. Francis is 9th in efficiency. Neither one of these teams shoots the basketball particularly well. If we take a look at Bryant from their offensive side of your flash, 31% from three, 47% from inside the arc, and a paltry 69% from the free throw line. If we take a look at St. Francis, three-point line, the worst in conference, 28% overall. And if we take a look at the defensive imprint for Bryant, they defend the three-point shot well. They defend it inside the arc fairly well. Also, neither one of these teams foul a whole lot, so I'm going to look at that 142, 142.5, and I'm going to take the under in this basketball game. I just don't think it gets there. I don't even think you're going to have the pace overall where you say, you know what, let's really get up and down the court and shoot our shots whether they go in or not. At least we'll get the tempo and pace. I don't think it's there. Two decent defensive squads versus two teams that struggle a little bit on offense, your Flash.
And what sort of number are you going to go for on the under?
140. Let's go 142.5. We'll take the cheaper number there.
142.5. What about Central Connecticut? +9 going into Wagner, Max?
Yeah, this is a spot where Central Connecticut State definitely is the team that's playing better basketball. They burnt me a couple times, and I'm tempted to take the points for Central Connecticut State. The reality is, when you look at this Central Connecticut State team, they're not going to really impress you with what they can do offensively, but they seem to do just enough to get it done. With this Wagner team, definitely Curtis Cobb is a game breaker with Tyrone Nesby and Alex Morales. You have definitely some really nice players in the backcourt. I think that there's going to be points that get scored in this game. That's the play that I'm more interested in, is the over. We know that Central Connecticut State's defense is going to allow you to get to the rim and allow you to get high percentage looks at the bucket. And from a Central Connecticut State scoring standpoint, this is a team that's done a good job of getting 30-plus points in each half of the game, and sometimes that's how you have to look at it. This is a team that's going to score hit the three-point shot and do a good job of limiting their volume. Wagner's the complete opposite. Wagner is going to hoist up a lot of bad threes late in shot clocks. I think that's going to benefit Central Connecticut State. If they can get to the free throw line, where I think that they have some strengths, I wouldn't say it's an advantage. that could benefit the scoring and that could benefit their ability to cover. I think that the critical key for Central Connecticut State is to not turn the ball over and force Wagner into turnovers. If you can take advantage of Wagner being sloppy with the basketball, I think that you can backdoor cover this game. So I'm looking at Central Connecticut State +9 or +9.5.
Yeah, I mean, it seems a lot of points. And Cash has come out with another one of his little statos, and he's saying Central Connecticut are 6-1 in their last 7 games, Donnie.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on that one altogether. These are lower level schools here that certainly Mac's going to give you much better information than I can try to even make up for these two teams. So we'll keep it moving here for time purposes, Flash.
Yeah, no worries at all. I'll stay with you, Donnie, and we're going to go with LIU, Long Island University at Fairleigh Dickinson. And Long Island are getting just a solitary point.
Yeah, taking a look at this game, I mean, looking at the totals that are flashing up now, opened up at 154 offshore. We're actually showing Pinnacle offshore here, Flash, now putting up a 158. And if we take a look across the board, Chris and 5 dimes, 155.5 and 156. So we expect a lot of points to be scored in this game, and rightfully so. You should be able to get some tempo. You should get two teams that are fairly fluid on offense. If we take a look at three-point shots for LIU, Flash, number 1 in the conference at volume. 44% of their total shots come from three-point range. And if you take a look at FDU in an 11-team conference, they're a 10th in conference at letting you shoot the three-point shot. And then we flip it over, and FDU, 39% in conference play, Flash, number 1 overall in percentage of three-point field goals made, and also shoot 75% from the free throw line. You should get tempo here. But looking up at how that line is moving up, that 154 range, more palatable, 158 or higher. Look, if some of these guys can go a little bit cold, you're not going to end up hitting it there. So if you're looking at something, if you could have gotten, or if it does rebound back to 154 range, I like the over, but I can't take it at 158 at this point now.
Is it 158, Donnie, across the board, or is there a big disparity between the 154 and the 158?
It's since it's an added game, you're going to get a lot of volatility. The 158 just flashed up. So usually with some of these books here, they're going to also mirror themselves. So I'm sure if Pinnacle, one of the sharper books in the world, is posting that 158, the other books are probably going to be short to follow off on that, Flash.
Okay, so sometimes if you get the early bird gets the worm, you get in at 154, you go over, you go under the 158.5, you have 4 points. And Max, you love that type of behaviour, 4 points. Jose in the chat says, what is that hat you're wearing?
I'm wearing the California Bears hat.
There you go. The California Bears hat is what he's wearing. Do you like LIU getting a point going into Fairleigh Dickinson?
Yeah, I think that this is a situation where it's just going to be the same old, same old. I don't see what the difference in personnel, from a personnel perspective, is going to change from the first game that these guys played. I think that with Jermaine Jackson really being a little more vocal and taking a lot more reins of this offense, this is a harder team to beat now. You have two very good ball-handling guards in Augusto and Jermaine Jackson Jr. You have Raekwon Clark, who's going to be able to use his length, size, and athleticism to pretty much go and do whatever he wants. The only downside to him is sometimes he gets into early foul trouble, and that could have an impact on the fluidity of your offense. And then Ty Flowers, when he gets on the glass, well, we know what he's going to do. He's going to get 15 to 20 rebounds. So I don't see what changes from the first game to the second game except the arena that is being played in. I think that LIU gets their tempo. I think that LIU is more efficient. I think that LIU is better defensively. This is a game where if FDU, just like Donnie says, goes into a scoring drought, well, they could be out freaking pretty fast. So I'm taking LIU as a road favorite.
Nice one. Let's go into the Ivy League. We've got 4 games to go, and we've got 3 road favourites. And the first one is Brown, giving up 1.5 in Columbia. Donnie.
Yeah, I like Brown a little bit in this game. I think they can go on the road and pick up a victory. I think they'll get some tempo in this game, but also Columbia and Brown together should get some tempo, so I think we'll get some points scored here. Both teams don't play great defense, but the one thing that is better in conference play, as you can see, Brown is a better team on defense overall. They force turnovers, number 1 in the conference at doing that, but the interesting part about it is even though Columbia doesn't have that much of a fluidity to their offense, they don't turn the basketball over. That's really the only thing that they do well. They don't get to the free throw line. They don't shoot the three-point shot. How about an Ivy League team shooting 26% from the three-point line. That's ridiculous. All us, like myself being a 5'11" white guy, the only thing I could do was shoot the three-point shot. They can't shoot it at all inside the arc, under 50% at 49.4. I lean on Brown to go in and get this victory. I just don't trust Columbia at this point. Just a bad basketball team. Give me the slightly better offense and at least give me some semblance of defense. I'll take Brown to go on the road and win by 2 or more.
Okay, we're going to go with Brown. Max, what's your free throws like?
I'm a good free throw shooter, but I'm more of an energy defensive player. So sometimes they've taken an elbow to the face, but as long as it's a foul and it gets called, I got no problem doing that.
You take the elbow to the face, or somebody else does?
Well, I'm a pressure defender. I get up into plain and simple, and I talk a lot. So yeah, sometimes guys want to throw elbows at my face.
Good lad, good lad. Are you going with the Brown on the road or Columbia at home?
Yeah, no, I'm actually looking towards the under in this game. I think that with Brown and Columbia, both are very reliant on certain pieces personnel-wise to score the basketball. You're not seeing a lot of balance specifically from Columbia, even though Mike Smith can put up 40 points in a game. He's coming off a really strong offensive output, and I don't think that he repeats it. He has been very hot the last 4 or 5 games, but I'm saying it ends tonight. I'm saying that Brown with Brandon Anderson and Tamang Chow in the size and the defensive intensity that you get from them, I think that's going to pay dividends tonight. I look for Brown to win this game comfortably. I also look for this game to stay under 139. If this was a game in the 129, 131, 132 range, I'd be looking the other way. But at this number, there's value by my numbers, and I'll make that official for the show. Okay, we've got 3 games to go. So, Max, can you start thinking of your player today? Also, can you do the same, Donnie? But we're going to go to the biggest road favourites there is, Yale. At minus 11.5 going into Cornell, Donnie.
Look, Yale should be able to overpower this basketball team. I think we can agree they're the much better team. But when you try to look at some of these spreads, especially in the Ivy League, you're looking at an opening around that 12.5 range, and it dips down to 11.5. And I got to tell you, Flash, I agree with it because forget about you. Sometimes you have to take the stats out of the equation because Yale looks like it's just going to be a freight train runaway victory. But if you're looking at some things that can make sense at home in Ivy League play, Cornell has beat Columbia 62-50. They did beat Princeton at home 73-62. Lost to Penn by 6, 79-73. So what I'm saying here is they can be efficient at home and stay within the number. And when you're talking about a road team going on the road, especially in the Ivy League, we're not talking about polls, just win and get out. Can Yale win by margin and win by 15, 16, or 20 points? Sure they can. But I just think the number's a little bit too high at this point. I agree with the move down from 12.5 to 11.5. I would lean on taking Cornell at home to just stay within that number and be competitive in this game, Flash.
Yeah, just a lean seems probably the sensible way to go, Donnie. Max, we're looking at a lean because there's giving up 11.5, but would you rather take the 11.5?
Yeah, it's not a spot where I'm looking to make a play on the side. It's a spot where I definitely look towards a full game over. This is a Yale team that you can regularly expect to get to between 35 to 40 points in the second half. I think that when you invite that type of scoring, I think that also elicits scoring on the other side, which would benefit the over. When you look at Cornell with Coach Boeheim's kid on that team, listen, he runs that team. He's the scorer. He's the guy that makes it happen. If he can get his shots off, then listen, Cornell has a chance to stay in it. But I think that from a side perspective, I'm looking more at a first half or a first half team total. Focusing on Yale being able to get their shot off and get their offense similar to how Harvard did.
What sort of total are we going for? First half, then over with Yale?
I would look at the team total, but I don't have it up now, so you'll just have to check back on my Twitter page and then I'll have the actual bet that I've made on it.
No problem. I'll stay with you. Have you Pennsylvania giving up 2 going into Dartmouth? Max, 1, 2, 1.5. Surely it's just a pick 'em.
Yeah, this is a tempting number to get on Pennsylvania because what have you seen from Pennsylvania? Well, if Jordan Dingle can get his shot off and make his shot, well, this is a very hard offense to keep down with Devin Goodman and AJ Brodeur. But when you look at Dartmouth, I keep on thinking, listen, if this team had Brendan Barry running the offense, there'd be way less isolation that's played, a lot less three-point shots taken up in the shot clock. And what does Dartmouth do? They use up a lot of the clock. It's hard for me to jump on the over in this game because I do think that Dartmouth is very inconsistent offensively. I got to lean towards Penn. I got to lean towards the under as soon as it stops moving up, but nothing official in this game.
Okay, nothing official. Anything official from you, Donnie?
Bentley missed the past 3 games, so I think they're over that, but they also won 2 of the 3 games that Bentley's been out for Penn. I just think their defense is much better than Dartmouth's is. I think Dartmouth will struggle on offense. So defense travels, and even in the Ivy League it still does. Lean towards Penn in this game. I think they get the win and the cover here. Okay,
last one before Player of the Days are announced. It's Princeton getting 7.5. Going into Harvard, Donnie.
Yeah, how about this one? Game of the night here, maybe that we could take a look at. Well, look, this isn't the older Princeton teams that were looked at dominating and really slowing the tempo down. They still play at a slower pace, but not those Pete Carrill days from in the 90s and early 2000s. If we take a look at Harvard on offense, what they want to do is shoot the three-point shot. Number 1 in volume from three-point range, Flash, but only making 32%. Here's the problem. Princeton, number 1 in conference at defending the three-point shot at around 27%, and also number 1 in conference at chasing you off the line. I'm going to lean on Princeton in this one here, getting the points here, Flash.
Donnie's taking the points, Max, against Harvard. Would you have had any brains, or would you have had enough brains to go to either one of these 2 colleges?
I don't think that I would have made I wouldn't have fit the bill for the college, especially after the interview. But when it comes to this game from a betting perspective, Flash, I think that Donnie's on the right side when it comes to full game. I think that Harvard has shown a propensity to be able to really start strong and then maybe take their foot off the pedal. I think without Bryce Aiken in the lineup, we're seeing a more balanced offense, and that leads me to believe that Noah Kirkwood can replicate his last game's performance. I think that when you have Baker down low, he has good size. I think that's going to be a problem for Princeton. And if Richard Uragoza gets into trouble, it puts a lot more pressure on Schweiger to step it up. I think that Harvard first half, Princeton full game is the way to go in this game, but I'm not going to make it official just yet.
Okay, nothing official. What about you, Donnie, the last one? You like Princeton plus 7.5. What's your play of the day, please?
Play of the day. We're going to keep it simple here. And I'm looking at Max's sweatshirt right now, and it's giving me all the right vibes here to go over these games and say, you know what? I'm going Buffalo, and I'm taking Buffalo, not full game. Give me the +2 in the first half. I think they'll be up, but it's always nice, Flash, when you can lean on that extra bucket at the half. Give me +2 Buffalo first half. That'll be my play of the day. We'll roll with the Road Warriors.
Okay, we like that. Buffalo first half. Are you going Buffalo as well, Max?
Not as my play of the day, but obviously we know that I'm on Buffalo a bunch of different ways. The way that I'm going to go for my play of the day is I'm going to go with Niagara, and I'm actually going to add Niagara first half. So the number that I can get for you is going to be the +2. But if you can get better than -115. No, you cannot. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with the +2 -115. And I think that, Niagara is going to be able to cash me the dub tonight. I'll leave it short and sweet.
Okay, 2 player of the days. We've got Donnie's is Buffalo first half and Max Niagara first half +2. Great weekend ahead. Remember, it's Baylor against Kansas tomorrow. What a game. I'm going with the home side, Kansas. A lot of people are going to go with Baylor. It's been a great week, gentlemen. Over 100 games capped. Donnie, great work. Max, go and have a lay down. Just show everyone what's under the hat before you go.
Hey, fine, all right.
Put the hat back on. That is so scary. That is so wrong. Okay, thanks, gentlemen. Thanks for everyone in the chat. Look forward to seeing you Monday morning. Have a great weekend. Until then, you take care.